All right, guys. Thank you so much for putting your message or your questions in the Google Doc. I was like not expecting a lot, and you guys put a ton of questions in there. That just shows me how dedicated you are to this group. So, we're going to go through those questions as quickly as we can and give you guys the best answers that we can, so that you're able to get the most out of this kind of Q&A. And if there's something that you didn't get a chance to put in the Google Doc, if you look in the Rank in the Bank group, it's probably a couple posts down now, but I put a post up that has the Google Doc link. And because there's like 30 something questions, you can go on and just add it to the bottom right now, and we'll get to it. So I'm going to start with the first one. And Nikki, and I haven't seen Kati. Is Kati on? I don't know if I saw her, but I see Nikki and Nikki on. So we will just unmute and answer these questions. And, Nikki or Nikki, if you guys feel the need to respond first, just unmute yourself. Okay, so first question, how to follow up effectively. Who wants to start with that one?
I can go. So I guess it just depends on what kind of follow-up you're doing, but for me, I always keep track of my people, and depending on whether I'm opening up a new challenge group or a coach training group or what is coaching group, I reach out to those particular individuals that are for that group. And I just kind of, make it more about them, like that I was thinking about you and I wanted to let you know that I'm opening my next group and there's a spot available for you if you want it. So it's not like, I don't ever feel like I'm bugging them. I'm doing them a favor. And they are always appreciative, and usually that gets a response instead of a set of crickets. Sometimes I'll get crickets from like cold market people, but usually people I've been talking to for a while, they'll say, oh, I'm not quite ready. Thanks for thinking of me. Let me know when your next group is. So if you just make it more about them, that makes the follow-up a little bit easier on all parties. That's my answer.
That's awesome. I'm going to focus more so on someone that you've been talking to about coaching. My coaches know this. I've said it several times. I've been doing it for the past 3 years of my business. I have certain days that I focus on following up. So I know that on Sunday or Monday, I'm putting up a challenge group post, and sometimes Wednesday. But my follow-up days are always Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Okay, so every single week, if I have someone who I've talked to about the challenge group or I've talked to about coaching that past week, then I'm following up with them either on Tuesday, Thursday, or Sunday. Not every single day. If I follow up with most of the people on Tuesday, I'm not going to do it on Thursday. I might do it again on Sunday. You don't want to drive people crazy. But they say you usually have to follow up with someone 8 to 12 times before they end up purchasing or, becoming a coach. And think about yourself. Like, I know for me personally, Janelle had to ask me like a million times. And then I was like, all right, I'll get on there and I'll actually sign up. But what I say to people about coaching is I'll say, I put it on myself. And I say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry my week got kind of crazy. I didn't want you to think that I forgot about you. Are you still interested in coaching? Or did you get a chance to listen to that call or whatever? And most people, if you put the blame on yourself, like, I'm sorry I didn't follow up with you, they're going to respond back to you and just say, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. My life was so busy. I had a crazy week at work. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. And you put that seed back in their head. So if I were you, I would have certain days that you follow up with people and know every single week. And if you're doing the things every single day that you should be doing, talking to new people and inviting people, then you'll have a certain amount of people every single Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday to follow up with.
Can I just add one thing to that?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I hear like, what do I say next if they don't respond? So just to piggyback on everything Nikki and Meg have said, I always like to leave the follow-up with somewhere to go, somewhere for the conversation to go, whether it's a question or I know this takes a lot more time, especially if it's like someone cold market, but I really value getting to know them and asking personal questions. So if you think about a conversation with your best friend, you're talking about one thing and then you go off on a tangent and then you're like, oh yeah, well anyway, back to this, this, and this. You can do the same thing with Beachbody, where you kind of get off topic, guide the conversation so that you can ask them more personal questions, or maybe you saw something on their Facebook wall and you incorporate that into the conversation. And then you can say, oh, but anyway, I wanted to make sure I talked to you about this group because I know it was important for you to get ready for your sister's wedding. And at the end of the conversation, maybe I'll say, take a chapter from GoPro and say, is it okay if I follow up with you next, April 27th when my next group is? Or I might leave it with a personal question, asking them something pertaining to something I saw on their wall. That way the conversation isn't just like flat and then you don't have anything to say to them again, or they don't have anything to say if they're not ready to commit. So give the conversation room to grow is basically what I'm trying to say.
That's an awesome tip. That's awesome. Okay, question number 2. Best way to invite to a challenge group through a private message. Who wants to do that one?
I think that's just piggybacking what I was just saying, making it personal. You never dive right into the challenge group message, or at least I don't, because I think about the type of customer that I am and the type of customer that I want to attract. It's not the person that's into hard sales that's like, okay, let's do this. It's like my people need a little bit of coaxing, a little bit of feeling like, okay, this isn't a scam type thing. So I know with my customers, I have to take more of a personal approach right up front and just kind of get to know them a little bit more. And this is where, this could be related to challenge groups or coaching opportunity. I look for their sign, and that stands for strengths, interests, goals, and needs. So when I'm asking them questions, I'm guiding the conversation in a certain way, ask questions to kind of pull information out of them. It's not this linear conversation where it's just me, shooting questions at them. I try to have that back and forth, but I'm guiding the conversation in a way that I can figure out what are they good at, what do they enjoy, what is a void that I can help them fulfill in their life, what is a need that they have that I have the solution to help them accomplish that goal. And then I can say, hey, I know you told me as a waitress and you'd like to be home, more with your daughter. I don't know if this would be for you, but have you ever considered doing what I do? I've got this great new coach training group coming up, yada, yada, yada. You can apply that same principle to a challenge group. I know it was important for you to get ready for your honeymoon. I don't know if this would be for you, but I've got this fitness coming up. It sounds like it might be a great fit. This is, the way that I've lost 20 pounds and kept it off. So that's how I do it. Look for their sign.
That's awesome. Nikki or Nikki?
I feel like Katie did a good job of covering it. So like her, I don't really have like cold invites where I'm like just reaching out. It's always like I've been forming people and, trying to make sure that I'm engaging on their Facebook page so that when I do put out an invite to a challenge group, some people will have interest. Now that's not always the case. I definitely have times where I put out a post and like get only likes from coaches and I get like only applications from people who are already on my team. But it's usually it's usually a follow-up. Almost like as a brand new coach, of course, you have to build up that bank of people, but almost every invite to my challenge groups now are all follow-ups. Just going back to people who said no and seeing if they're ready.
As a brand new coach, what I would do if I were you is look at your list of people who you put together when you first signed up and tell them, be genuine. As you hear Nikki and Katie talking, like you are genuinely sharing that you want to be helping that person. And if you personally know the person and you've seen on their page that they're getting ready for a wedding or, in a wedding or have a huge trip coming up or something, you can bring that up. It's not going to be the first message you send them, but, as you're talking to them, you can say, I don't know if you would be interested, but, I have a group starting on blah, 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 and I saw that you have this coming up, so it's a way to make it not seem salesy and creepy, because none of us want to come across that way. So I think they totally nailed it. Okay, question number 3.
One more thing. Also, another good line is, to reach out to somebody and just say, hey, I'm putting together this challenge group. I don't know if you know anybody that would be interested in it, but if you do, you could send them my way. And then that way you're not you're indirectly telling them about your group, and so you don't feel like you're just inviting them. So that sometimes works too, because people are like, hey, well, I'm interested. So that's another one.
That has worked before, where they're like, wait, why are you not asking me? And it's like,
yeah.
you can do it if you want. Yeah, and guys, all of this stuff, it's definitely trial and error. There's going to be things that you're going to do and you're going to be like, ooh, I'm never going to do that again. And then there's going to be other times where you're like, that worked really well. I mean, I mess up every single day in my business, and I've been a coach for 5.5 years, okay? So you're going to have times where you're going to mess up, and that's okay. So take the tips that we're giving you on this and turn them into your own and try them out. And if it doesn't work, then say, all right, well, we're not going to do that again, and I'm going to try something different, okay? Okay, number 3. Starting your coaches off right. What is the most effective way to get your coaches building their business? That's a tough one. That's a giant question.
I don't ever feel like the way that question is structured is odd to me, because it's not like you're like, okay, if I don't start them out this way, they're not going to build the business. In my opinion, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So in my, green days as a coach, when I was brand new, I messed up so much. Nikki will even tell you, she was signed up to be a discount coach. I did her GSR. Her kids were running around my living room. I'm not even understanding what I'm trying to teach her. So, here we are a couple years later. I mean, even right then, she was like, okay, what do I got to do? And she wasn't even sure she wanted to work the business yet. So I don't think that there's, a wrong way to start someone. I think the right way, or the most effective way, is to share your passion and to focus on what their goals and what their needs are. Because if you're trying to shove them into this coach box, then they're going to, push away from that and say, okay, well, that's way too crazy for what I was thinking this was. But if you have that initial GSR where you really take the time to get to know, what are your expectations from this? What does being a coach mean to you? What does success look like to you? And kind of, pull that information out so you can guide them in the best way that is going to fit their needs and fit, this time in their life. I think that is the most effective way to start them.
I got something from Anita Myron. Absolutely love her. But she said that, as soon as she signs up a coach, before she does a call or anything, she asks them, so what kind of coach are you? Are you someone who's just wanting to really work on your fitness? Are you wanting to start a challenge group right now? Are you somewhere in between? And by knowing that, kind of what Kati said, you know how to talk to them. And if it's someone who is like, I want out of my job in 6 months, then you're going to be giving them all of the tools to do that, and hitting Success Club and Emerald, and, kind of giving them more information. But if it's someone who's like, I just want this for accountability for myself, obviously you're still going to do a getting started right call, but you're not going to be giving them all of those huge tools to really build their business.
Agreed.
Yeah, so that's basically what I do. I send them, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I send them a welcome email, and it has a video in there describing 3 different types of coaches. You're either a discount coach, you want to make your Shakeology back, or you want to run with the business and make it a full-time thing. So depending on that, as like Meg said, depending on that is where I go with my information from there. I do have a new coach checklist in that email that basically goes over, go through the back office, play around, get familiar with it, change your EFT, go through the new training for coaches. And then there's a few other things in there, like buy the Slate Edge. But they only go to that step if they are willing to work the business. If they just want the discount, I tell them to just send me over what their fitness goals are, and that's it. But I do send them a welcome email with those things in it. I wouldn't say that, like Kati said, we've been in this for a while, and I wouldn't say it's the best way. It just works for me. And I've been playing around with it for 4 years now, so it's not like it's the best way. It just works for my team. You'll find what works for you and what works for the coaches on your team, because the people that you're bringing on are going to be like you. Do they need step by step? Are they going to research it themselves? Katie and I did it together, but I wouldn't go to her when it was like little things. I would look for the answer first. So that's how a lot of my coaches are. They go and research it. So me having that step by step for them kind of gives them an idea of where to find things, but I wouldn't say it's the best way. It just works for my team. So I think that you're going to find no matter what you do, it's going to work for your team. And the more the coach wants to work the business and wants it, the more information you're going to give.
Yeah, I do the same thing. My email sounds kind of similar to yours. I have a checklist, and I have like a week 1 getting started document that goes through different things. And I have a video, but one other thing that I also do is I have them, I have a link to an article about the gems, and I just ask them to tell me what gem they think they are, just so I kind of know going into our GSR and going into like gearing them up for the new coach training, what their personality might be like. So that way I can prepare, like if they're an emerald, I know like they're super organized. They're going to expect me to kind of be a little organized, which isn't really my strong suit, but I know kind of like how to lead them. So that really has been a big help for me too.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what you said, I use the color codes, so colorcodes.com, and that goes through and I have my coaches do like 5 things before we get on a call, and one of them is doing the color codes. Another is creating a list of 100 people, and then what are the other 3 things? Pregnancy brain. I'm sorry, you guys, but I make sure that they read through the welcome email, and I should just look through my list. I'll look at the other 2 and let you guys know. But, I make sure that I know that color. Oh, the About Me form. I have an About Me form that I can put a template of it in the group so you guys can see it. But I look at that before we get on the Getting Started Right call, and it kind of covers a lot of the big questions, like how much time do you want to put into this business? What are your hesitations? So that I can look through there. And if there's something that catches my eye where it's like, oh, they want to put in 3 hours. Okay, that's awesome. Or, oh, they have a hesitation that's not a normal hesitation, not just that they don't want to be salesy type thing. Then I go into that. And I think the more that you learn about your coaches, and like Nikki said, you're going to be attracting a lot of people like you, the better you'll get. And there's always going to be things that you're going to be changing with your new coaches. There's not a one size fits all. And you'll just keep learning more and more. So, yeah. Okay, number 4. What does your workday look like now after leaving your traditional job? Who wants to do that one first?
I think we're all dreading this question because I don't know that any of us are super, okay, with the exception of Nikki getting up every morning and doing her workout. My motivation for building my business was freedom in every aspect of the word. So not having a boss, not having ties to a schedule. We went to Disney today. I woke up at 7 and I was like, I feel like going to Animal Kingdom. Like, let's do it. So my schedule isn't a schedule. It is a list of priorities that I have for my business. And let's just say for each, I'll break it down. So like my priorities for the year, my priorities for the month, and then I'll look at my week and then what do I want to accomplish this week? And then I break it down into each day. So like today, what do I want to accomplish? Well, I want to go to Disney. I want to get on the Zoom call tonight, and I want to follow up with some of my coach prospects. And for me, having it simplified and having my focus on mastering a few things and doing those few things well is a lot more effective than me going through and having this like big master checklist, which I used to do. So I think it definitely has evolved. When I was a newer coach and I was more in the hustle stage, it was more like before we had the 3 vital behaviors, there was, do you guys remember, was it called the game plan? It was like 10 things. So I'd go through these 10 things. I was almost like crazed about it each day because I was like, I have to get out of this job. Like I need to do whatever it takes. So I was a lot more structured in those days, getting up at 5:45 to do my workout, doing GSRs before work, doing stuff on my lunch break, staying up late to get on team calls and updating my blog. So depending on where you are in the business, you're going to have to look at, what your schedule needs to look like. But if you're more of a Sapphire Ruby personality, I can tell you that having the 3 priorities works wonders for my stress levels. Like it's just like much more easier for me to manage.
I actually am very structured. Surprisingly.
Really?
I'm not organized in anything else in my life, and my coaches can tell you that. But I do almost the same exact thing every single day, guys. I actually had some new coach ask me from another team. It's like, so what's your schedule look like? I'm like, I'm actually really boring. But so I wake up, and the first thing I do is I get on my computer after I ate breakfast, and I get on for 45 minutes. I set my timer every single time because Nikki Johnson, if you listen to her podcast, she says people are effective in 45 minutes, and then if you take a 15-minute break. So I set my timer for 45 minutes, turn my phone off so I don't have any distractions, and I get on, and the first thing I do is I check into my groups, and so I'll check into the groups, go through and see, who has commented, whatever, my challenge groups, my coach groups, this group, and then I make sure that I put up a post for the day, and then my next thing is I go on and I add to my network. So you guys have heard me say it, the way I grow is my like page, so I go on and I add my new likes, probably 10, and then I go into my emails. So I haven't touched my message folder yet, and I feel like a lot of people let that dictate their schedule. You can't do it, okay? I used to let it do that to me all the time, and then you get 5 hours into it, and you're like, I just spent 5 hours answering messages, and I haven't done anything else. So after that, I'm off. I get off, I go work out, I come back up, I do my personal development, I do my devotional. What else do I do? Then I start looking, I post on my page, and then I start looking at my messages, okay? And if it's a Tuesday, Thursday, or Sunday, I do my follow-ups. And guys, some days you might fly through things a lot faster, and you're like, I have a lot of time, a lot of free time. And like Katie said, that's awesome. If you're full-time and you've put 2 hours in and you have nothing left to do, don't try to do more, okay? If you've already been really productive, the reason that you're in this business is so you have freedom. So like Katie, you can go to Disney. I'm so freaking jealous right now, but so you have that freedom to be able to do that. I think that's a hard thing for people who have a full-time job and then they come into being their own boss is you think you need to fill 8 hours of your day working the business, and you do not. Okay, so everyone's day is going to be structured, but as long as you're getting those basic things in, that's all that matters. And then my calls and stuff are usually later in the day. That's my day.
Wow, I need to take a page from your book.
It's probably all over the baby.
I feel like, my business was like always changing. So when I started this, I didn't have a traditional job. I was working 2 work from home jobs, plus I had my blog. So I just was like working when I could. Like I loved how in Cancun, Mika Folsom said that she worked in the cracks of motherhood. So that's how I worked this business. I would wake up before my kids got up and do my workout and work on my business. And then I would do it at nap time. And then if they were in the playroom playing, I would get on my computer, and then at nighttime. So now that I quit those jobs and my husband's home, like he's a big help. So usually every morning, I don't wake up before my kids, but I need to because I need to get stuff done. So tomorrow I'm going to be waking up at 6 instead of 7:30. But usually I wake up when my kids wake up, I have breakfast, and then I go downstairs and I get on my computer, and my husband has the kids, and I work for 4 hours. So I do PD, affirmations, anything that's going to move my business forward, responding to messages, posting in my groups, kind of like looking at my day and seeing what I have planned. And then I come up for lunch, and then depending on whether I want to or not, or if I have calls, like sometimes I have calls in the afternoon for coaches that have time during the afternoon, or, I check in with my coaches, but sometimes I just take the afternoon and spend it with my kids and my husband, or we go to the playground or do something with the family. But pretty much every night after my kids are in bed, I'm working, doing calls or talking to my coaches, or doing follow-ups. So I probably could take a lot more time off than I do, but I need to find balance like you, Meg. I need to not, like you said, when you're done with your work for the day and you have extra time, I need to learn that instead of just keeping on working, because that's what I do. I just don't stop. So good. Work on that.
3 years in the making, guys. And I will promise you, you will get just as much done in smaller increments if you're really focused. If you haven't listened to that podcast by Shalene, it will blow your mind. Because it'll help so much, guys.
Yeah. So I was going to say, like, my answer to this is kind of into number 5 as well. Structuring your work week and month. I use Shalene's 80-20 rule. Both of my kids, like when I first started, my schedule was crazy. As most of you know, I quit my teaching job 2 months into Beachbody. I wasn't making nearly as much as I needed to be, but my life revolved around my kids. So when my kids were napping, I was working. When my kids were sleeping, I was working. When my kids were playing, I was working. And that's just how it worked for me when I first started. But now that both my kids are in school full time, I have pretty much from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. to do work. But I use Nikki Johnson's 80-20 rule, and or is it 30-10? Sorry. She says on Sunday nights, take 30 minutes and do a brain dump. Make a master list of the things that you need to do throughout that week. So I do that. I make my list, and then 10 minutes every night, the night before, I make my list for that upcoming day. So what are the things that I need to get done? And then I prioritize them. If they don't get done that day, then they don't get done, and I'm okay with that. And then I'll make my list for the next day. And if they don't, the things that I missed the day before, if they don't fall onto the next day's list, then they weren't that important. So it's really all about prioritizing what you feel is going to move your business forward. And like Meg said, she does the things that are going to move her business forward first in her day before she gets into the messages and the other things. And that is something that I have been taught, especially by Kim Carver, is making sure that I'm doing my personal building of my business and not just worrying about my team and my organization, because I tend to do that. I tend to flock to the needs of my coaches first. So if you set that, whatever is a priority in your business, in your personal business, whether that's, recruiting and hitting Success Club, the things that you need to do to grow your business, those are your number one priority. And then it comes your coaches and getting your coaches together and making sure they're hitting their goals as well, because you have to lead by example. And if you're not doing it, they're not going to do it. So just structure your day that fits you, and like everyone's work day is completely different, but it's going to fit you. And you have to just make sure it's a priority of yours, not what is my priority. What Meg's priority is, it's your priority because it is your business.
Absolutely. You got to find things that work for you. And Dave Ramsey, he talks about, and he did something that kind of helped me with my to-do list, for those of you that hopefully everyone's doing to-do lists, but ranking your most important things with the business at the beginning of the day. Okay. So obviously we all know personal development is going to move your business forward, because if you believe in yourself, you will be unstoppable. Right. So that should be towards the top, along with your own workouts and talking to people on your own business. Kind of like Nikki was saying, for me personally, like, there's 4 weeks in the month, and I always focus the first 2 weeks of hitting Success Club, because I know once I hit Success Club, then I'm going to be helping my coaches hit Success Club. But in that first week, I also run a coach sneak peek. So I think I did a call on this, not in this group, but basically week 1 is focused on getting people into a coach sneak peek and challenge group. And then week 2 is just following up with all of those people. Week 3, I do a what is coaching call. So I'm focusing on recruiting again. And then week 4 is just follow up with all of that. So that's how I structure my month. How do you guys do yours?
I do the first 2 weeks Success Club. And then I usually have my challenge group like the 3rd week of the month. So the first 2 weeks I'm inviting to my challenge group. And then I do also a what is coaching group the 3rd week of the month to lead into coach training, which I do the 1st week of the month. So, but I am going to try to start doing, it's so out of my comfort zone, but doing a what is coaching webinar. I've done one with Kati and I've done one with my mom, but I've never done one on my own. So I'm like, I think I'm going to try to do that every month. So something I need to do, I think, to grow.
Yeah, I would say mine's pretty similar to yours, Nikki. I do the first week of the month or the first day of the first Monday of every month, I start a new coach camp. So the second week the second and the fourth week of the month, I do what is Beachbody coaching. And usually on the Wednesday of that week, I'll do a business opportunity call. So for those people that are in that group, they can see kind of what the business is and hear from other people and not just what I'm posting in the group. And then the third week of the month is challenge groups. But I like to have Success Club locked in by the 10th of the month, so that I don't have to worry about it, but also at the same time that I can help my coaches hit it, and make sure that they are getting the attention they need and the questions answered they need. Because I used to be that person that waited until the last day, 11 o'clock at night of the month. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I still need 2 more points. And my stress levels were so crazy that I would work my butt off until, 11:59 to make sure that I hit Success Club. But then I would take like 3 days to recoup from that, because it was like, oh my gosh, I was just messaging everyone. Now I have to figure out my motivation that I'm going to do it again. And that's how it was the first, I would say probably year and a half. So now I focus on that the first 2 weeks, because if you're doing the 3 vital behaviors every single day, all you have to do is post one thing and message those people that are responding to it. People message you and are watching you. So if you notice people that are liking your stuff, start a conversation the second they do it. The second someone likes a post that you make, start a conversation, start building that relationship, so that in the first 2 weeks, when you are inviting to a challenge group, or when you are inviting into the business opportunity groups or call or whatever, they become interested because you built that relationship with them. So now they're seeing what you're, actually doing.
Awesome. Okay, number 6. How do you get people over the title of coach and to sign up for the discount initially now to save money, even if they think down the road they'll want to be a coach and actually work it? Some people seem to be okay with paying retail because they're scared to have be a coach to get the discount.
Preferred customer.
Yeah.
Or I just say in my email, I call it that. And then I say my dad does it. Like, he signs up for the Shakeology discount. Usually when I say that, like, people don't question it.
Yeah, I don't really ever say, well, you're going to be a coach or da-da-da-da. I just say, this is an awesome way to save 25% off. I actually was using the discount before I started working my business. So, yeah. All right. Number 7, from a business organization view, how do you keep everything organized? Yikes, I'm not organized. What programs do you use to keep all of your information, your clients, your challengers, and when to follow up? I use Google Docs. Every month. I use one folder that's like April challengers interest and April coach prospect interest, like just 2. That's it. That's all I do. Super easy. What about you guys?
I do the exact same thing. The only other thing I do is in my, I have one of those, a big planner. I'll show you guys. And I'll write all my coach, how many coaches I want to sign up for the month. And then I'll write the prospects in pencil. And then when they sign up, then I put them in pen or marker. But I just use Google. And then I tried to use a customer follow-up. It's called One Page CRM. And it's very simple. You can set reminders if you have a customer that's like, follow up with me, for your next challenge. You can just put them in there, put that little reminder with little notes. But I always revert back to Google Docs. So pretty simple.
I have a couple of things because I've tried everything. I've tried Google Docs, and I would just have one document, and then every tab was like whatever I had coming up, like new coach training, clean eating group, whatever. And I would just go back like to my tabs, but then I didn't have like any information really on them. I wasn't keeping track of anything. So I tried Asana, but I couldn't keep track of that because I just have a hard time updating things. So I found this, I sent my husband on a mission. I was like, I need a CRM, but I need like these specific things that make it easy. So he found one called nimble.com. It's not free. They have a free 30-day trial, but it's like $15 a month. But it integrates all your social media, and it's just been amazing for me. They have a Chrome extension. You can like highlight someone's name and then right click, and then you can add them to your contact list. You can create tags. You can like set follow-ups, and you can see like your last conversation with them. So that has been like a huge game changer for me. And so I use that, but I also still have a little bit of pen and paper. So I'll put anybody who I'm talking to, like the challenge group, and these are their names, and then I put a check mark if they purchase their challenge pack. So I still have a little bit of pen and paper just to organize like my groups. And then I have the same planner as Kati. So I have like, like my day, I try to plan out my day, like when my daughter's in school, and like I have like what my blog posts need to be at. So planners actually, this was in March. My planner for April has been pretty sparse because we've been traveling so much. So those are my three. Oh, what's it called, Kati? Day designer. That's what you have too, right, Kati?
All right.
Same design.
All right. Number 8. Who are you asking to be coaches? Just challengers? If you only have a few challengers that are new or not coaches already, who are you asking? I ask
everybody.
Everyone and anyone. You never know. And I totally prejudged people and said, oh, they'll never be interested. And now, 3 or 4 years later, they are coming and they're doing amazing, and things in their lives are changing because of this business. So don't prejudge people. Ask everyone. Yeah.
Just to add one thing to that, I don't know if you guys experienced this, but as a newer coach, when I wasn't making money, it's almost like there's a fear of, oh my gosh, well, who am I to invite them to this thing that I don't even know if it's worked yet? And now kind of being around the block for 4 years, I don't care if I'm sitting next to someone on a plane, if I'm at the dog park, if I'm at Publix, like I literally invite everybody. And what that looks like is just sharing the lifestyle. But if you're not at a point yet where you have the income or the lifestyle, don't be afraid to share where you're going with this. Don't be afraid to share your vision for it. And that can be just as powerful, if not more powerful than like, oh, here's my big fancy house. When you're sharing, I just started this thing. This is a way for my family and I to get out of debt. This is a way for me to quit my job that I hate. This is a way for me to finally be accountable to my fitness goals and finally get my health in order. When you say with that conviction, it doesn't matter that you haven't lost any weight yet. It doesn't matter that you still haven't earned your challenge pack costs back yet. What they see is your passion and your conviction for it, and that's what they follow. So just invite everybody.
Yeah. And I always say, it's like you're dating. So like, yeah, invite everybody. But when you're talking to them, there might be some people you're like, we do not get along. Or other ones where you're like, oh my God, I love you. Like, I just want to hang out with you all the time. That's a good sign. That's someone you really want on your team. But if you're, talking to someone about coaching and you just don't feel it, obviously don't just be like, well, by the way, I don't want you on my team. But, just kind of ease out of the conversation. Just to be honest. Okay, I saw something in the chat group. What were the 4 weeks of focus mug mentioned? I missed some and didn't have a pen handy. Oh, what I do? Okay, so my first week is usually like a 3-day coach sneak peek that I let my whole downline get into it with their prospects. And then week 2 is focused on challenge groups and stuff like that, and getting people in so that by the 10th, just like Nikki, that I've hit success club 10 or higher. And then week 3, I focus on recruiting again and inviting people to a coaching call. And then week 4 is focused on just following up with everything. So Yeah. All right. Number 9. When is it a good time to sign your spouse up as a coach? As soon as possible. As soon as possible. I am so mad that I didn't meet my husband until what was it, 2 or 3 years into the business. I actually just fired him. He's not a coach right now because I didn't like where I put him. But I would say as soon as possible. Do you guys agree? They should be the very top of your business center.
Yeah, the very top. My husband's account brings in almost $500 to $600 a week without, I signed him up right away. I didn't really touch his business until I went diamond. Then I started building his business to diamond. And then I really haven't done much with it other than maintain his diamond rank. And his business just brings in money without me having to do much.
Yeah. I signed Chris up. He was my second coach. And he was on my strong leg. So his business center as a diamond maxes out and loses a whole bunch of rollover volume because of that. But I say right away, because once you get your spouse to Emerald, they bank all of that volume. So that's more, if you're looking for the financial freedom, which everyone is, that's going to be an extra income for you. So even if you sign them up and just get them to Emerald and keep them at Emerald and not do anything there, you don't have to hit Success Club if you don't want to. I think it's pretty vital to have them as one of your first few coaches.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's not a big deal. It's not a huge deal if they're not one of your first few coaches, but as soon as you think of it, sign them up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know what? I was 23 when I first started really working no, I wasn't. I didn't really work the business. But when I decided I really wanted to be a coach, and my mom was my first coach, and I fired her about 5 times. But, she was one of the first coaches at the top of my business center because I wanted to go to Emerald. I didn't have a boyfriend. And like Katie said, she signed her brother and her mom. So I would put 2 people that you really want to help out at the top. I'm seeing questions come through on this message. Whoa. Okay, someone wants to know which leg are they on. I'm just going to say, for me personally, I'm putting my husband on my strong leg because I don't want to have to put a lot of effort into it. I want to build his team and help him, but I don't want to have to build up the leg. Some people want to put their spouses on their weak leg and really maximize the personal volume points through that business center. It's really what you want to get out of it.
And yeah, about the whole telling people, I always, when I send his link to people, I just say, oh, you'll see Ben Johnson's name, but it's really me, he. I just make it oh, it's really me, huh? So no one's ever said anything.
Yeah. Yeah, you work with business centers on it anyways. Yeah. That works for me. Okay, someone said, okay. Well, a lot of questions. Okay, can you explain signing up a spouse a little bit more, or where can I find an explanation of it? If you YouTube Emerald Beachbody Coach, I'm sure Lindsay I know she has. Lindsay Matway has a really good coach on Emerald Coaching and explains why you should sign up as your spouse. You could search Emerald Beachbody Coach signing up spouse, and people go through in depth why it's a big deal. Let's see. Do you put orders through them after you hit Success Club? How do you tell people to order through your spouse? Oh, that's kind of what Nikki said. And then, is that it? Okay. What are we on? Number 9? 10. Okay, when adding new friends to Facebook, how do you get people you don't know to accept your friend request? I never send a friend request first. I never do. I'll send a message. And as we're conversing back and forth, and yes, I pay the $1. Someone was asking me about that earlier. If you are messaging someone you don't have any mutual friends with, you'll see something that says at the bottom of the message that says this message is going to go to their other folder. And then there's something that says see more. You literally click the see more, and it'll give you the option to pay $1 to go to their inbox folder. That's a tax write-off. So you get it into their inbox folder. And if you're conversing back and forth, and like I said, you're dating your customers as well. If you realize this person's awesome, I really like them, then you can add them as a friend. And I actually ask them, I say, hey, do you mind if I add you as a friend? And then they're waiting for that friend request. Do you guys friend request people right off the bat? I'm sorry, I'm getting really bad heartburn.
Oh, it's the worst. I actually do, like, if they send me a coach application, I will friend request them, and then I'll write in the email, like, I sent you a friend request. Let me know if that wasn't you. Here's my link if you want to friend request me, depending on like their privacy settings. But like, I usually send friend requests. I know like people are scared of like the whole going to jail thing, but I haven't really had any issues, knock on wood. But I don't like friend request like 100 people a day. Like, it's just when I get, coach applications mainly.
Yeah, if they already like are following you and you've already been in connection, then sending a friend request is fine. If you've never been in Facebook jail, it freaking sucks, So I would be very careful about friend requesting people that you don't know, because that like shuts down your business to not be able to talk to people. All right. Let's see. How do you make your potential coaches less anxious about filing taxes?
I've never had this issue. I don't attract a lot of emerald personalities. I don't know if that's what it is, but have you guys had experience?
I haven't had a lot of issues with people filing taxes. I think that, when they ask, obviously you have to file a 1099, and I tell them what I write off, and I haven't really had any issues.
Yeah, I haven't either, and I talk about it fairly often, like especially around tax season. And I have a good webinar from the guy that I use, so I usually send that to my coaches if they're worried. But I'm pretty much like, everything's a tax write-off.
I agree. If I have anyone that questions it, my accountant did a webinar for us. And it basically tells them, you can write off anything that has to do with Beachbody. And your first year, unless you make over, $600, you're not even going to get a 1099. But you get a 1099, you save every receipt, and it's really not as bad as people put it out to be. I know there are a lot of people that say, well, then it pushes us to the next tax bracket. Well, isn't that a good thing? I mean, honestly, if you're making that much money with Beachbody that it's pushing you to the next tax bracket, then that's a good sign that Beachbody is doing something for your family. And that's just kind of what I say to people, making money is a good thing. And if you just save all your receipts for everything that, your Shakeology is a write-off. So I don't know. I really don't get people that get really anxious about it. I just kind of talk to them about, it, like what I just said. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but yeah, so.
All right, so I think we have them nervous about Facebook jail. It's okay, guys, breathe, it's okay. But what I usually do and what I say to people who I send a message to is, like I said in my post when we were talking about how we add to our network, if someone likes my like page, I say, hey, thank you so much for liking my like page. I thought I'd reach out and see how you're doing. Are you into nutrition and fitness as well? Just something very simple. Or if I see that they have a really cute baby in their picture, because I love babies, or something, or a puppy, I'm like, by the way, your baby's adorable. How old is he or she? I add something personal into that message. Say that it's someone who has commented on like a challenge group post or a coaching post, then I say, hey, the first thing I say is, hey, do you see this message? And, if they respond back, then obviously they see the message, and then we go from there. So it's a little more directed. And she said, I tried that message format with new likes, and it has started some good conversations. Oh, good. That makes me happy. Okay. So let me see. What question are we on? Okay. How do you deal with competitors? I've lost a ton of challengers and customers to Thrive. Oh, Thrive makes me want to throw up in Isogenics lately. I actually have someone that is going to be in my challenge group because she wants to do the program, but she refused to do Shakeology and is going to continue with Isogenics shakes. What do you say to people? Honestly, no, I tell them like, hey, I don't know much about that product because I drink Shakeology and I love Shakeology and this is what it's done for me. If you want, I can send you a sample, and you can't, like, if they're trying something else, obviously we all know if you're drinking isogenics and you try Shakeology, you're going to be like, that isogenic stuff tastes like crap. It's not very good. I don't know much about Thrive. I just know that it's the patch thing, which I'm totally against. What about you guys?
I do the same thing. I don't know about insert whatever craze or product it is. All I know is Shakeology is the thing that helped curb my cravings. I feel much more energetic now, and it's a product that I believe in so much that I've built a business around it. That's great that you're doing whatever, I hope that works for you. But in order to be a part of the challenge group, everyone's committing to the guidelines that I know are most effective in helping people see results. I'm never rude about it. If someone's doing something, wishing them the best of luck, not tearing down other companies. Like, I never talk trash on any other competitors. I say, I'm not really sure about that. I've heard some things, but, I'm so happy with Shakeology that I don't really have any interest in, researching anything else, to be honest. So I keep it basic, and then the people that don't come around right away are usually the people that come back after a month or so and say, hey, this really still isn't working for me.
Mm-hmm. All right. How do you invite someone to the coaching opportunity if they're not using Beachbody products? For example, they're working out at home and posting on their Facebook workouts and healthy foods. What would you say to them to have them sign up as a coach when in the past you've already told them about the challenge pack and they weren't interested in it?
Okay. Yeah, worth it.
So I signed up as a coach without a challenge pack, and I didn't have a Shakeology. But I'm a coach now. So I don't think
you ever tried the programs though.
So I did. I had found T25 randomly. I didn't know, and I was doing it. I didn't know it was a Beachbody program. But I think that you can still invite people who have interest if they have an interest in health and fitness. One of my coaches is like a total gym rat person, and she doesn't really do home workouts. It's only if it's like a snow day and she's stuck, but she's, made it. She was doing Body by V before, like drinking those shakes. And she came to me and was like, I think I want to coach. She bought a challenge pack upon sign up, but she hadn't done any workout programs. She hadn't had Shakeology. She just saw the potential in the business. So you just have to present, show the vision that you have and present that opportunity. And you never know who's going to say yes. And just because they've never tried the products doesn't mean that they're not going to love them. So
absolutely. I mean, I've talked to several people who have never done the programs, and I talked to them about signing up as a coach and doing a challenge group with me first. And if they're not interested in the challenge pack, then I would tell them, because as Beachbody coaches, we're not just like Beachbody program lovers, like that's all we do. I mean, several coaches do CrossFit, several coaches do training for marathons. Like, we do other things than just Beachbody programs. And like Nikki said, some people still do the gym. So just showing, like, I would say, you're already doing what you do as a coach. Do you realize that? Like, you could be helping so many people and making an income for your family, and if it's someone who's a really good friend of yours, they're not going to be like, oh, you're just trying to push me into something. They'll know that you're being genuine. Yeah. Okay. When you have a coach sign up, do you send them a welcome packet first, or do you schedule a call first to go over their goals? Also, during that call, can you break down step by step what you covered during that call? Whoa, that's a long question. Maybe Nikki, and Katie, we can each maybe just type up tomorrow and put in the files what we go over in our Getting Started Right call, because that would probably make that a lot easier. Okay. How do you invite someone to the coaching opportunity? Oh, I already did that. How would you approach someone that is in another MLM? How would you invite them to the coaching opportunity, or would you? No, no, I don't touch anyone that's in like Herbalife or Wraps or anything like that. If they come to me, then it's like, okay, we can talk about the coaching opportunity. Obviously, they couldn't still do that MLM, but I never approach someone who's in another one.
Even if it's non-related, like, you know, if someone's in Sell and Dot, if they're in another MLM, like usually they're focusing on that. And if they want to do the discount, you know, cool. Or if, you know, you just have to talk to them about what their goals are. I mean, I have a lot of people who come from other MLMs that don't have success and they want to do Beachbody. But I mean, this quote that Kati used to say, oh, it's like, what's like the hunter who chased 2 rabbits never caught anything. So it's kind of like if you are trying to sell 2 different things on Facebook, like people are just going to think you're in it for the money, and it's really hard. So, and then Beachbody has so many rules against different MLMs anyway. So if they're in another MLM, I would not really waste my time.
Okay. Number 16 is kind of the same. It wants to know what's in our welcome packet. So we can put that in there as well. How big is your team when you start having your own weekly calls, or give a team name? For me, I started doing a team call before I even hit Diamond. But then again, it took me 2 years to hit Diamond, guys. So I had, I want to say 20 coaches before I even hit Diamond, which is crazy looking back at that. But I started team calls, and I will tell you, I would get on there and no one else would get on. And I would say, you know, I'm still going to record it because I'm on here and I have good notes and I need to get good at this. So I'd record it, I'd send it out to my team, and then guess what? The next week, 1 person would get on. And then the next week, 2 people would get on. And I just kept growing. As for a team name, I always think about this. Janelle did not have a team name until like last year. She didn't have Team Hardcore until last year. And look at how successful she's been. So I don't feel like a team name is that important. I think that if you're trying to build that strong environment off of that team name, and have all of your coaches under kind of one thing, then it's important. But for me personally, I don't think it's a big deal until you really feel drawn to a name, you know? What about you guys?
I started doing team calls fairly early, and I probably wouldn't have, but my mom kind of pushed me to do them because she wasn't getting anything out of my coaches' team calls, and so she encouraged me to start my own. And so I was nervous to do that, but I'm really glad that she did because it helped me kind of establish, you know, my team. And then, you know, I don't even remember when I created my team name, just, I don't know. But I really encourage my coaches to start having team calls as soon as they can, because I think even, you don't even have to be Diamond. I just think it helps you grow your leadership, and it helps, you know, create a culture within your own team. And also your coaches aren't always looking at your upline as the leader, like they're looking at you as the leader.
I say do Zoom chats. Do Zoom chats with your team immediately. If you're going to do weekly calls, do Zoom chats.
I agree. I tell my coaches that same thing, you know, get on, even if it's you and 2 other coaches of yours in your downline, get on a Zoom chat and talk to them. It doesn't have to be anything formal. Just make sure their questions are being answered. And then I hold my team calls, and I don't know when I started holding my team calls, but the same as Meg said, I would have maybe 1 or 2 people on, and then maybe I would have a little more. And there are some weeks where I still only have like 23 people on my calls. But there are people that listen to recordings because they work. So you just have to really figure out, you know, what you want for you. But like Nikki said, you are their leader, not your upline. They came to you for a reason. They relate to you, so they want to hear from you. And as for team name, I think I picked my team name like a year and a half into the business, so it really wasn't that important to me. And I only picked it because me and my husband decided on it, and we wanted it to be something that was like gender neutral. So I don't think it's important, but I think we have 1 minute left. So if we want to pick a good question.
Oh, okay. You guys look at the list. There's so many. Okay, did any of you leaders go through a 1-year slump when you started to get into your cold market? I am finding that sharing with strangers is a lot harder than people you already know. What are your tips to get out of this?
I actually find that it's easier to share with strangers than people I know because they don't have any conceptions of you. They just know what you're doing in your life, whereas people that you know say, you can't be a coach, you're not qualified to do that. I know back in college you did this, this, and this. So I actually find it's much easier to talk to my cold market.
I completely agree. I mean, Janelle, it's funny because I'm like one of her only coaches that did not start my business with my warm market. I mean, my mom. I had my mom. That's it. Everyone else I found on Facebook through my like page. I saw someone asked, should I get a like page? Absolutely. But, you know, I feel like people don't judge you when they don't know everything about you. And it's easier, like Katie said, to talk to them and just don't care what they're going to think about you. You know, just go out of your comfort zone and really talk to them. But I've been through a lot of slumps in this business. Absolutely.
Number 30, at what point in your business did you realize, wow, I can actually do this and make a real income from my family? Rank were you? How much were you making per week? I always have thought that, even when I was making like nothing.
Me too. Me too.
It took me to 2-star. But I didn't have a family though. It took me when I got to 2-star, and I really, 2012, when I hated my full-time job, and I said, you know, I didn't have a family, but I said, I'm not doing this the rest of my life. I want to be a coach. You know, so I think it's definitely a different decision for every single person. Some people, you know, like the 3 on here are rock stars and got it right away. Me, it took me a little longer, you know, so it'll be different. All right, one more.
I feel like we should talk about personal development because I saw a couple personal development questions, like what do you do if you feel like, I forget where I even see them, you want to throw in the towel, anything like that. If you're filling your buckets, your confidence buckets, like I just made that post the other day about personal development, doing your workouts, like pouring into yourself, building your belief, then it becomes much easier to overcome those pitfalls in the business, those slumps. But if you're not pouring into yourself and doing those things that build your belief in yourself, then it's really easy to let those internal voices and the negative thoughts start to get you down. So in my opinion, it doesn't even matter what you're reading as long as you're reading. Like as long as you're reading or listening to audio that's like building yourself up.
Also, I think that this business has really high highs and really low lows, and you just have to realize, especially like Katie's whole call, the roller coaster, like you're gonna go through those slumps and you're gonna go through hard times, and it's just a matter of like coming out of them, and sometimes it just takes longer than other times, and you just have to dig in a little bit harder into that personal development, but just know that you're gonna come out of it. So
Cool. Anything else?
Seriously, answering someone's question. Okay. Are we out of time?
Yeah. John was wondering about how not to offend women when he's inviting. I was going to say, you can always use the roundabout. Like, I'm going to have it. If you know anybody who would be interested, please send them my way. That's the best way to like not offend. But I wouldn't be scared of offending people. I mean, you have something, you're talking to them about stuff, and you think it will fit and be afraid to offer it. Couples workout. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Oh yeah, Jay always brings up my name in conversations just to like put women at ease. Like he's not hitting on them. It's completely legit. Like my wife, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, I'm ready for bed.
Oh my crashing. Well, guys, thanks so much. If we didn't get to your messages or the questions, we'll try and look through them and see if we can find some different answers. I think a lot of them are most of the same thing, but we'll put our welcome emails and what we do on our Getting Started Right call in the file section tomorrow. So thanks so much for getting on tonight, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Bye, guys. Bye.